Hi, I'm Birgit O'Connor, and welcome to the TWSA 48th National Exhibition. And I had the honor of judging the awards, and my co-juror is Stephen Zhang. And today what we're going to do is a gallery walk, and we're going to try to share our thoughts with you. Did I miss anything? Okay, so we're just going to try to go through the exhibition here, and we're going to pull out a few paintings that we want to say some things about. They're all magnificent, but you know, if we pull out every painting, we're never going to get back to the workshop. So, do you have anything to add right now?
No, let's get started.
Okay, all righty, so let's take a look.
Okay, so what impressed me is the combination of simplicity and complexity. There are many colors moving along, but moving in a very organized way. And there are a lot of small details. You can look at this painting for a long time, and yet when you step back, it's very strong and very powerful.
One thing I also wanted to add in here too is what Peter has done has inspired me with your texture in the background, and I'm curious how I can pull some of that perhaps into some of my own floral paintings. It'd be interesting.
I like this painting. First of all, it has a quiet mood, or looks like early morning in a European town. I also liked the use of colors, very deliberate transition from one color to the other, from warm to cool, from light to dark, and very subtle transition, except the more contrasting spots are on the figure.
And I'm going to talk about Christine's painting here. I was mesmerized. First of all, it wasn't something that I was immediately drawn to because there are bugs in it. but the way she handled the portrait is incredible, and the texture she has for the little hair here and the glint in his eye, and well, not really glint, but the texture and the light in his eye, and the way she handled all these bugs back here and allowing them to run. Now, I thought actually there would be more detail back here because my mind has the impression that there's detail because of this just one, I'll call it a bug, but I thought first of all it was a mosquito, but it's a wasp, and she told me how she ended up taking the wasps and collecting them, and then they were dead, and then she used that idea for this. And it just has a story, and the way she handled her hands down here and the lighting on the face, and it's just something unique and unusual, and that's what I was attracted to with this one. Okay.
Talk a little bit about Zhang's painting here. It had, to me, as a viewer, a sort of a psychological effect. You're wondering what's happening. Obviously, it's because of the very unusual figure, the spotlight only, the very bright spot of the entire composition. You wonder what the story is. Also, it's because of the composition, sort of a bit risk-taking, the busy angle and the empty angle. So it creates a sort of dynamic imbalance, but it's balanced as a whole. So there's a suspense to me. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's wonderful to come up and take a look at all the detail. Yes, like you said, the imbalance. It's really fascinating. All right.
So this is a painting by Fred Graff. The painting is masterfully painted. In the workshop, we talk about selectivity, and this is a good example. You see a specific area that has detail, and the rest of them are more loosely painted, but you form the entire picture. And also, there's definitely movements through the color migration. And then the minimal use color, just basically between blue and orange and yellow, allows the value to come forward.
It's interesting to see more of the structure here and the looseness of that and the amount of water in this area too. I mean, they're all amazing. But I really wanted to talk about Bev's painting. And what I really liked here was the way she used her brush strokes and allowed the water to dissolve some of the edges, and she wasn't shy about that. She just had the confidence. And that's what's really important. So she made a statement. And we have all the colors back here, her use of the blues up here, and taking advantage of the I think it's hot press paper, the smooth surface. And I'm always looking for areas within here that just specific strokes, like up here, the confidence, and then the water in this area, and how she added the texture on this side, and the lighting on her face. Okay, so.
This is Tony's portrait. Obviously, everyone can see there's intensity coming from the model. It's through this very realistic, but a very strong portrayal of the person, the strong lighting, and also the detail of the eyes and the mouth. So I thought it's very powerful in terms of personality.
And meeting him at the gala, that was a really unique experience, because to see the person and who painted this, and just like you said, the power in there it was just wonderful, a wonderful experience. So now I'm known primarily for my florals, so it's interesting for me to look at a more abstracted floral and the use of the negative space up here and how they created a very dynamic, strong painting and the hits of color right through here. And it's stunning. So there's no one area that stands out more. Well, the color pulls your eye here, but it's very well balanced.
Lisa Englander painted this very elegant painting. Visually is, again, the simplicity and complexity combined. But talking to the artist, I realized as a person involved in the museum, she's studied a lot of artifacts. So these patterns are all the patterns from the historical potteries from around the world. And then so she wove all these elements together into this painting, you know, making sort of a reference to the history. So, and then as a whole, the color is handled in a very subtle, the tonality and everything is very sophisticated. I want to, do you want to?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I want to briefly talk about this Pam's painting and in relationship to the other portraits too. I think these and Tony's and then previous ones are examples of portraits to express the inside personality and feeling of the people. They're not just about the surface and skins and everything. It really should reflect that person and also reflect as an artist's opinion about that. I think Pam's painting always portrays, you know, confident women. Technically, it's superb with multiple layers to form, you know, to paint the human forms, and then the use of warm and cool color interplay constantly makes it very rich and very entertaining to look at to some degree.
Well, I think that's beautifully said. And what I'm really attracted to back here is how they handled the background and the modeling of the color, and then as we move down into the face. And what's interesting to me is this area here, because you would expect the need to continue on, but how they brought their own artistic flavor into this. So I thought it was very beautifully done.
One thing, Scott's painting that attracted me is the personalities coming through. These people, also his observant, so that, you know, detailed observation of the physical feature of people at a certain age, and yet this, you know, optimism, the happiness, and combined with a little funny dog. I think this painting just emits a feeling that make you feel, sanguine or positive about the life. So.
And it's also interesting how they deleted the background and focused just on the figures. So that's another thing, a great use of the paper surface. The background is what drew my attention beyond the obvious figure right here in the portrait. If we look back here, this is just something that makes it so much more intriguing. And then if we go into the figure here, the way she handled the eyes, and it's very soft, and it makes me wonder, who is this woman and how intriguing is she? And the use of color down here, from the cool up here to the warm. And I am really intrigued by the texture in the background.
Another painting of selectivity, right? It's very obvious. The focus is on here, and then deliberate, simplification virtually creates almost like a stage, and then you have the actors in the middle, and that directs people's eyes. But also the strokes are very brief and casual. That is not like labored. It's beautiful.
Thank you. And then like this week we're working on figures, and so what I love is the simplicity with these figures, focusing on the light and the cool back here and the warm on the arms, the reflection. And it's so simple, but what's inviting is her use of color in here and the subject matter, because I think anybody can identify with this. So I think it's wonderful.
Andy's painting here, a boat and bucket and a brother. It gives you sort of almost like a nostalgic feel, almost like missing that childhood. Visually, the sort of a purplish gray is great background to push the yellow out, so the yellow is a pop. The simple brushstroke against the sort of a more fragmented brushstrokes in the water is good contrast, but your eyes are focusing in this area not only because of the color, but also because the two boys and the human forms of boys are masterfully painted. Very simple, but it's just beautiful.
Well, the use of color too, just like you're just immediately drawn to the lines, the use of color, and then, the story is amazing in there too. Okay. I think I'm going to mention something about this one here. The transparency and light was just incredible how she handled the detail of the cups, and it draws you right into the center of that cup along with the water drops here and her shading and the use of hard and soft shadows. Okay.
So a painting needs to convey stories, messages, artists' personality, and so there need to be contents. And obviously, this one is one of those paintings that I think build the stories in there. We don't know exactly what it is. It says just marked. It has a retro, I guess, a target, and then they have these spools over here. But aside from the impeccable detailed techniques, to use sort of a item and put them together to tell a story or to let people to make story, that's an important part of the painting.
And then for this one here, what was just incredible to me is how the blue is so stunning and even, and it was just mesmerizing to me, aside from the obvious with the story that's within the painting here, and how well the writing is here, how it's just so beautifully done, and the three-dimensional look in this area right here, it's just stunning. It's just, it's captivating.
I guess I realize I've been talking about portrait a lot, so I don't know why, but
Oh, was it this one or this one?
this one.
Okay.
But this is another painting that expresses a very strong personality, but in a very subtle way. The touch of a pink inside the corner of the, that reflects, I think, the observation of the age and the simplicity of the color, and they're very, subtle, that works together. I think good painting is the painting that goes through the process of simplification. We don't labor over everywhere.
Finally, we're going to look at the Skylage painting from Mary Jensen. And what was fascinating was the story of this one. It's like you wouldn't normally see a pelican in a room next to a window sitting on these little blankets here or sheets, but it was just intriguing. So you got to bring in your own thoughts, and it made you wonder instead of having to overthink it. It's just fascinating, and it's not really whimsical in a way. It's so intriguing. Aside from the technical, it has a story. It's inviting. And then when we look at the background here, how beautifully she created these gradated washes, and then she captured the silk in this area, and then all the detail within the bird. And it's like, where do you want to go first? For me, what I was drawn to was the background beyond the story. That was the first thing, and then the background and how she handled the washes, and then the detail in the background. From what I understand, this is actually her kitchen window. And then she made a composition of the bird and putting it where she wanted it to be. So I found that fascinating. So it's beautiful, just so unique.
So also painting isn't just a mirror that reflects the reality, right, that looks just like what the reality is. Painting creates its own world, and this is a good example for that.
And then that completes our gallery walk. Thank you so much for inviting us. We've had so much fun, and getting to know Stephen has been such a great pleasure of mine, and getting to know everybody here. It's been, I think I'd like to come back. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.